director of the Disposable Film Festival. Everyone wearing a blue shirt can bow for that because they're doing amazing work. The Disposable Film Festival is in its 4th year. It started in 2007 by the festival director, Carlton, and co-founder. He's still working very hard. Oh, he's still working very hard right now, he is. And this is excuse me? Is that better? Okay, so this is the 4th annual Disposable Film Festival. This is the first VideoSong workshop for the Disposable Film Festival. And if I'm not wrong, I think Jack told me it's the first VideoSong workshop that they've done. So this is a really big deal for us. The reason we're really excited about having Pomplamoose come and do this work with you, share the way that they work and explain sort of their method is that what the Disposable Film Festival is all about is making sure that people that are using everyday technology, their cell phones, their little flip cams, their webcams, are given a space to really celebrate the art that comes out of that. And the things that Jack and Natalie do as part of Pomplamoose, they really connect every track that they make to a video track and get them to really look at the way that every note is played. And that wouldn't be possible for everyone to do unless there was this sort of really available media. So we think they are an amazing example of what disposable film can be. Disposable film doesn't mean it's made on a little a camera that you throw away. It means that it's something that it's non-professional. You bought it for another purpose possibly, and you are making beautiful things with it. So we are going to bring Jack and Natalie up here. So they probably need no introduction, but Pomplamoose, it's Jack and Natalie. They're going to play some songs after they teach you about the way that they work. There's other things that are happening later in the festival that we'll tell you about. The thing that I'm most excited about tonight is that after they do the workshop, you all are invited to get your mobile phones out, get your beautiful DSLRs, whatever you have handy, and film them as they are playing. After we do that, we're going to do a collaborative music video. So anyone who wants to should leave their phone number. I mean, you don't have to leave your phone number unless you want to. Leave your email address, and you'll be invited to Dropbox, where everyone is going to share footage and then make video songs out of the different angles that everyone's been able to catch. So after they do the workshop, we'll do a little refresher about exactly how that's going to work. We want people to shoot whatever they feel comfortable with, and then share it. So we're hopefully going to come out of this with really amazing video songs from this workshop, and then those the ones that are produced, hopefully that we're going to have a jury go through them, and then they'll be screened at a later festival. So we hope that you will listen with rapt attention to their workshop and use what you've learned in filming and when they're performing. So we're really excited about this. Jack and Natalie come up with this Pomplamoose.
Glad to be here. We're really glad to have been invited here. So everything's working apparently. Hey, Shadow. I'm gonna move. Okay, that's good. I'm gonna talk about Pomplamoose a little bit, and while I do that, you can make little animals onto the screen. So we're Pomplamoose. I'm Natalie Dunn, Jack Conti. Just a little bit of a background on us. We started making video songs together in July of 2008. It actually started sort of as an experiment. Jack, who's an excellent producer, offered to produce one of my songs, which was Pas Encore. And that was our first thing that we did together, and it got a lot of good reactions from Jack's followers, because Jack was already doing video songs at this time. And so we decided to go from there and to make more video songs. But when we started off, we were just doing originals and a couple covers here and there, but it wasn't, definitely originals were more of our emphasis. I was finishing up college, Jack was had a part-time job with Google, but was mostly focusing on music. And so a year goes by, we meet up with this girl named Julia Nunes. Don't know if you guys know who Julia Nunes is? Yeah? Okay, so she invited us to come out to New York and to produce her EP. And while we were there, we figured out from her hundreds of thousands of subscribers that there were a lot of benefits to doing covers. And so, like many other bands, we started to do covers. And what do you know, some of them got really popular online. We suddenly were able to quit our day jobs and do music full time, which is like, you know, a dream come true. And so here we are, a couple years out of that, and we're still doing it, and we still have followers and subscribers and fans, and we're going to tell you guys more about what you guys can do to basically achieve the same thing if that's what you're after. So, do you want to take it from here, Jack?
Sure.
Cool.
Our hard drive just got ejected, so it's going to take a little recalibration here, but bear with us and we'll go first to the presentation. So can you guys hear me all right, by the way, if I talk like this? Yeah. Is that okay? Okay, cool. So,
can you hear him if I talk over him, like this?
So we're going to talk about how to make a video song. We're going to break down the session into 5 things. One, we're first going to talk about why video songs. What's the point of a video song? And we're going to talk a little bit about how to engage people and build a following online. And then we're going to go over the 6 basic steps of video song: recording, exporting the audio, mixing the audio, syncing, editing, color correcting, and then exporting the video. Then we're going to take some questions from you folks. And then I'm going to talk about the rapid prototyping mentality, which I think is a really important part of the philosophy of video songing. Actually, I just heard the term video sawing, S-A-W-I-N-G, and I'm a fan of that term. It sounds like you're sawing away at something. So that's the new verb of video song, is video saw. So we will do some video sawing tonight.
Why not just video sing?
Video sing, that works too. Okay, so then we're going to do a little performance. We're going to play 4 songs, and of course you're all invited to film. Okay, so now we're going to talk about who we are. Have you guys seen our videos? Who's seen some of our videos? Oh, okay. So then we won't skip watching the video. Or we can. So why video songs? I'm going to talk a little bit about this. I think it'll help us understand how to make a video song. I think for our purposes, the audio is the most important part of the video song. If you think about student films versus professional films, obviously the hallmark of the student film is the poor audio production. And the more time you pour into the audio, as hard as it is, and as much as it seems like it doesn't matter, it's often the thing that makes it feel better, and it makes it look better, strangely enough. If you see someone punch somebody without the sound effects, and then stage fighting, and somebody goes like this, everybody goes, oh, it looks fake. But if you hear the, then it looks real. You're like, oh my gosh, the guy just got punched. So the audio, it really makes a big difference. And especially for us, the audio is the most important part because we're focusing on the songs. It's sort of like watching a movie. I think with really good acting and a really great story, it really doesn't matter if it's filmed on a flip camera or if it's filmed on a big Panavision professional rig with a $100,000 lens. It really comes down to the content. So why does that really matter? Why are there some aspects of filmmaking and video sawing that outweigh other aspects? And I think what you have to do is you have to separate the content of what you're doing from the packaging of what you're doing. And for us, the content is really the song. We're really making songs here. And we package them in makes sense and is familiar, and it happens to be where there's a lot of people looking for new content right now on YouTube. So we really, at least when I'm making video songs, I'm thinking about content and packaging. And that makes you separate the inspiration from the technical. And I think it's important to keep in mind that ultimately the inspiration is going to outweigh the technical. As long as you keep your head focused and inspired, then the technical stuff really doesn't matter all that much. Especially for us, since ultimately our bottom line is MP3 sales. You know, the video song is really an ad for the MP3 on a practical level. Right, yeah, to be honest. Okay, so what I'm arguing is, if you feel it, if you're feeling the process, then I think that's going to be self-evident through the packaging, and it's going to be entertaining, even if technically the lighting isn't good, or even if your microphones aren't placed just right. I think even if you're struggling with all those things, it's still going to be good if you're inspired and you're ready to roll. And the reason is because I think struggle is a really important part of art in general. Whose line is it anyway? The improv show, okay, a lot of people. One of my favorite shows, I think it's absolutely brilliant. One of the best parts of that show is when somebody does something absolutely hilarious and the other improviser goes and turns and is trying not to laugh, and the audience just goes ballistic because it's so fun to watch someone up there struggling not to laugh. I think we love watching people struggle with something. It's part of what makes something entertaining. I took improv in college, and my improv teacher, when he was having a bad show and no one was laughing, and he was up there and it wasn't going well, he used to literally just turn around and shake his shoulders like this, and people would go crazy in the audience. Everybody would think that he was trying to hold back laughter, and suddenly it made the show great. So there's something very important about the struggle, which is I think what makes Beatles records so great. Here's these guys. They're recording 65 tracks, 66 tracks on 8-track tape. They're pushing their medium all the way past its limits. They're not supposed to be doing this. For some of their recordings, for a great song called Tomorrow Never Knows, which is the last song of Revolver, I think. They literally they brought every tape machine down in Abbey Road, and they hooked 8 tape machines up together, and they had them all rolling simultaneously. They were calling out to guys, press start, press stop. All these guys are trying to sync up 8 tape machines. I think you can hear that struggle in the recording. You can hear the fact that these guys, their genius outweighs the technicality of what they're doing. It's this combination of unbound creativity versus its limited medium, which is just going to be restricted because it's a physical thing. Okay, all that to say, just feel the music, and it will make your lighting look better. Okay, so what is a video song? Ultimately, the video song, like I said, it started as an advertisement. The first time I made a video song was after I spent about 5 months making a record, and I made it as perfect as I could possibly make it. It was only 4 tracks. I EQ'd everything just right. I compressed things. I made it all perfect, and I spent hours and hours and hours. I worked 16 hours a day on this record, 4 songs, and it took me like 6 months. And then I thought, okay, great, now I need to promote this thing. So I put out a video song that I made in one afternoon to sort of give people an idea of what this sounds like. Here, come check out my music, and here's a video song. You know, hopefully you'll buy the album. That was the idea behind the video song, an advertisement to promote my record. So what happened? Well, nobody gave a shit about the record. Everybody emailed me and said, hey, don't mess with it, Jeff. Could you send me that MP3 of your video song track? I was like, oh yeah, but check out my album. And then that happened like more and more. Finally, I realized, you know, there must be something better about this thing that I did in one afternoon than this thing that took me 6 months. And why is that? How can I possibly be? The record, coincidentally, was called Nightmares and Daydreams. And I came to the conclusion that it was the calculated versus the raw. It was this thing that I had spent so long on, it turned out to be overproduced and glassy, and it didn't have any of the emotion or the passion or the energy that I poured into this thing really quickly to promote it that had a real functional purpose online. And I think there's something to that. There's something to this boomy, I gotta get this out, I wanna make this, and I'm just gonna not edit myself, I'm just gonna pour my ideas out. And that's what the VideoSong turned out to be. You can hear that when you listen to something. You can hear if it was done quickly and if it was done passionately. You can hear the person flowing. It's basically a demo. The VideoSong allows you to make a demo and to release it as a professional recording, to sell it. It preserves the quick, raw, creative passion of the recording process. And the quintessential example of this is in recording studios, there's often something called chasing the demo, which I think is the most incredible phenomenon. People, when they want to record an album, they often will make a demo in their bedroom. They'll record it on a little 8-track or on GarageBand or whatever it is. Then they go into the studio, they're doing a professional recording with $10,000 microphones in a $20,000 space with $1 million pianos. And almost all the time, halfway through the process, the musician sort of folds their arms and goes, I really like the way I sang it on that demo. Can we pull the demo for a second? And they pulled the demo, and he's like, yeah, you hear that piano sound? It's sort of like in the background. I kind of like that. How are we going to do that? And that's called chasing the demo. That happens so often that there's actually a term for it. And I think it's a perfect example of what we like in music. We like something that's done raw and relaxed and quickly and fun and with energy. It's about the attitude more than it is about the $10,000 microphone. And the VideoSong allows us to do that because it's this thing, there are restrictions with the camera that you can't get around. When you're not filming stuff, you don't have to worry about syncing it up. Can I do a punch here? Sure, I can do a punch. Let's re-record this a trillion times. When you're trying to keep track of the whole thing on a camera, you can't do 10 million takes. You've got to just do them quickly, and you've got to be okay with however it is, and then you've got to move on to your next one. So it's an alternative to the guy with the guitar in front of his webcam. And it sort of ups the ante slightly, but not too much, I think. Oops, there we go. But I think at the same time, it comes from the same place. It's engaging viewers, it's promoting content on a regular basis. Okay, there are also practical reasons for the VideoSong. Who's heard the term content is king? Yeah? I agree with that. I think it's totally relevant, it's totally true, especially in this day and age. I'd like to add one little thing before that, which is that regular content is king. I think there's a big difference here. Just having good content isn't really enough. Sometimes a band will spend, $500,000 on a music video and release it, and it gets 2 million hits, and that's awesome, and then nothing happens. Maybe they sell 1,000 records, and then nothing happens. Why is that? I mean, it's a great music video, it's really creative, what's going on? Well, then you see people on YouTube who just put up a webcam and play and sing, and they do that once a week for 2 years, and they're selling hundreds of thousands of songs and making a living as a musician. And I think the difference is regular content versus great bursts of content. I'd rather have good content over a long period of time on a regular basis than one spurt of amazing content. I think it will do better things for your career and for your filmmaking, and even helps you on a creative level to output that much stuff. It helps you be prolific. So then if we look at the VideoSong as permission, it's permission to make regular content and not care if it's perfect or not. It's permission to get your ideas published instead of having them live in your head forever. And it's this permission to be prolific and unpolished. So this is a big thing here. This is true. It is permission to not live that long. And I think that's really important because a lot of people. Well, actually, let me just show you this. So Natalie talked about Julia before. I'm going to show you just a few seconds of this video. There we go.
Well, the way you pull the faucets from your sweater, it doesn't make up for the times you let me sing into
F-bomb. I think there's something so attractive about that. There's something so nice about this girl who doesn't care that she's getting 2 million views. She doesn't care what's good. She doesn't care if she's a student. She's just playing a song that she likes, and she's got her nose pierced, and she doesn't care. She doesn't care about anything. That's just really attractive. I think that's a lot of people's fascination with rock stars. Is that they just always seem to not care about things. They don't get an F1, always.
He's trying to say fuck.
It's an all-ages show. This is actually 10 minutes ago. Ultimately, not giving a fuck is the reason we're chasing the demo, right? It's why we're chasing the demo, because there's something about that demo recording where we just didn't care. We knew no one was going to hear it, so we made it relaxed, we made it fun, we made it feeling good. That's how we got that sound of that demo recording. It's not the fact that the piano sounds distant, it's the fact that we didn't care while we were playing that piano. And that's what sounds so attractive about that demo recording. That's why we chased it. Okay, so this is the end of the theory of VideoSong. Basically, it allows us to produce lots of decent content as opposed to one piece of killer content. It helps us get over our perfectionism, which is a tough battle. It helps us achieve demo mode. It preserves the rawness and the attitude instead of polishing all the humanity out of a piece of music. And it's a quick way of turning music into video without having to labor through all the creativity involved in making a music video, which can be thousands of dollars and months and months and months of work. So that's a little bit about the why video songs. Now Natalie's going to tell you a little bit about the how for video songs. Natalie.
Should I just talk? Is it okay if I just talk, or should I hold it mic? I'm not as loud as him.
Mike.
Mic? Okay. Another great thing about video songs is that they're a great way for you to stay in touch with your fan base on a constant basis. We don't go on tour. We're going to start doing that because we like actually seeing people face to face, like now. But tour is a really costly thing to do if you're a musician. It's a way to lose a lot of money unless you have tons of merch that everyone wants to buy, or you're like filling up stadiums. It tends to be kind of tough to be on the road. So we've been pretty fortunate that we've just been able to make content and put it up, and that people like you guys have watched it and bought our stuff. And so thanks for that again. How many like musicians / filmmakers do we have in the room here? All right, so I'm talking to you guys right now. Basically, there are a few things that you need in order to make a video song. A computer helps. There's the type of video song that you just saw where it's just, you with a webcam, and that's the video and that's the audio that you're using for the song, and that's really all you need is a computer. And some sort of editing software that comes with the computer. So that's, if you want to do it stripped down like that, that's totally possible, and people love it. We've since Jack said, as we said, we're sort of into the, also like having a pretty quality audio. We spend more time in the studio, and setting up mics, setting up the lighting and the cameras, so that hopefully I don't look like really unattractive in certain shots. But a lot of that comes down to color correcting as well. Color correcting makes people look nice. You start. You have to have your camera. You have to have your mic. Recommend a couple hard drives, because you want one to edit on and one to back up all your stuff on, because Who here has lost all of their hard work before? Okay, yeah, back your shit up. Just do it, right? Get into the habit of backing up your stuff. Yeah, that's what I meant. Thanks for that demonstration. Other things you need, editing software. We use Pro Tools to do all of our audio stuff, and we use Final Cut Pro to do our video stuff. Generally speaking, Jack does the audio production and mixing and all of that, and I take that and I go to my computer and I edit it on Final Cut Pro. So, did you want to talk about the mixing process at all? Because that's, I guess,
So we'll start.
the first part. You have to have the audio before you do the video.
Right. Let's start now. Okay, so we're back to the plan here.
Though it is important to keep in mind, like, video shots and angles and ideas when you're actually making the song. So you kind of do have to think ahead and think, like, what's going to be entertaining. You don't need this.
No. Okay, so I'm just going to say 2 minutes about the audio process, because I think the video process is going to be a little more interesting. The basic idea behind what we do when we're recording the song is we set up a microphone that plugs into some kind of audio interface that goes into our Pro Tools computer, and we set up a camera, and we hit record on the computer, and then we play our stuff, and we hit record on the, we hit record on the camera first, and then we play our stuff. And then you go back to the Pro Tools rig, you find a portion that you're using, you add it into your song, whatever you're doing with that, and then you film your next thing, and you record your next thing. So let's say we start with drums, we'll film the kick drum, and we'll put our kick drums in place, then we'll film the hi-hat, we'll put our hi-hats in place, and we'll film some guitars or bass or whatever it is. And we're recording audio and video to separate devices. Video goes to the cameras, audio goes to Pro Tools. Does anybody know what Pro Tools is, the audio editing software? Yeah, okay, cool. So you can use any audio editing software, any audio mixing software. Use GarageBand. I have a friend who just released his album on, who's entirely done with GarageBand. It sounds awesome. So you really don't need anything more than that. Okay, so once you feel like you're done with tracking, this is the important part. Once you've finished tracking and you've finished the way the song is going to sound, basically, you do a rough mix of the audio and you export that audio as a single track that you can drag into Final Cut Pro and start lining up all of your video bits with. The secret is that usually that rough mix is your final mix, at least in our case it is. But when I'm mixing, I'm like, this is just a rough mix. I'm just going to do the rough mix. It's done. Okay, cool. Got a rough mix. We're done. And then it's midnight the night before we're supposed to upload. I'm like, Natalie, I had to do a final mix. And she's like, just get it on iTunes. Okay. Put it on iTunes, and that's the final mix. So, okay. So now we've talked about the first 2 steps, which are recording and exporting the audio. Natalie's going to talk about sync and editing and color correction and all that good stuff.
Yeah, Jack has a phobia of final mix. He won't call things final mix. He'll save them as like rough 2, rough 10, rough 10B, rough 10. It's like, what are you gonna call it final? Anyhow.
Sorry, I have to. Since then, I've started naming my things just because that's not a good way to name things. It really messes up your file structure, and that's got to be super organized when you're doing this kind of stuff. So I name things 2011, March would be 03, and then 26 would be -26, and that way your most recent thing is always on the bottom. That's something I learned about 6 months ago, and since then, it's been really easy to find my most recent stuff, as opposed to rough mix B, 10, good, rough mix 10B, bad. But also, I like to think of it as you never really finish an art project, you just abandon it. That's about 95%, you just have to throw up your hands and give your baby to the world.
All right, so just now you all know, we're not actually jumping from one instrument to the other every time that's an actual cut. My grandma once asked me, how did you get to the piano so fast? She's adorable. Here's the cut of basically the final, I guess, what's the term for this thing? You guys know more about editing than I do. The final... Timeline, thank you. For the collaboration that we did with Ben Folds. Don't know if you guys have seen that. Yeah, cool. Okay, so I'm going to play that here for you so you guys can sort of see. Oh. Oh my gosh. Are they definitely offline?
Well, you can play it and see right there on the video.
I think the hard drive was unplugged.
No, I think it's because the hard drive got unplugged, yeah, and so it's just saying that it's offline. Sorry. Tech nerds talking about is it offline? That's a good point. I would have looked stupid. All right, here we go.
You smoke your little smoke and drink your little drink and try to make sense of the things that you think.
Did you know that Dickens invented 13,000 characters? 13,000! That's a character a day for the whole of his working life. What have I done today? Dropped the kids off at school, listened to the new National album, played a stupid game on my computer. That's why I'm not Dickens. Kids. Dickens' wife would have done the school run. I'm all for feminism, but it's cost me my one shot at immortality.
Smoke your little smoke and drink your little drink and try to make sense of the things that you think. Smoke your little smoke and drink your little drink and try to make sense of the things that you think.
In 1450, there were...
Alright, that's enough of that. You guys have all seen it anyways. This is what you do when you start doing a video song. The first thing that you do in Final Cut Pro, this is a really handy thing to remember, so remember this. First you drag the video clip onto the timeline. Don't drag the audio clip on first, because if you drag the audio clip on first, it's not going to ask you if you want it to remember the settings of the video. So drag the video clip on first, and then drag your audio on. So after you've told it to remember all of your settings, sorry, this is a lot of information, you can drag the audio on, which is this little thing right down here. After that, it's a lot of syncing, which isn't very fun. It's not really the creative part of it. You just have to match up every drum hit and every guitar part, and in video songs like this was like the ultimate nightmare of all video songs, because we had the the guy talking. That was footage from England that we had sent over, and so we had to put that on the timeline, and then I had to figure out what drum parts were being played at what time, and it was just really hard. But you line them all up on top of each other, and then you listen to the audio and you ask yourself, what's the most prominent thing happening right now? And it could be there are several things, in which case you can use like a split screen and sort of highlight several things going on at the same time. But a good thing to keep in mind is that you really want to vary the types of shots that you have. For example, you want a full screen to be followed by a divided screen, and then after that maybe go back to a full screen, or something that's zoomed in and really close followed by something that's far away, because that keeps up like the whole dynamic appeal of watching the video, and that's if you watch it from the beginning.
Smoke your little smoke and drink your little drink.
So we're doing a lot of
Try to
split
make
screen
sense
here.
of the things that you think.
Did you know that Dickens
Followed by something that's really close up, followed by full screen of the face. So it helps to do that. Also, another thing that's helps to keep the video song dynamic is to break on the beat, which takes a lot of this. And then the kick drum, you go a frame before that and you cut, and then you know. So that's basically a lot of the editing. A lot of the cuts happen. Hear that? Yeah, basically. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing, is clicking through and like waiting for the snare to hit and then the kick to hit. I think that's a pretty good, just basic, description of how I make the video song. We're gonna have a questions time, so if you guys have more questions about how exactly I do the editing, I'd be happy to, actually click on these things and go into how exactly I, divide up a screen or something like that. Yeah, that's, I think, about it for now. After I'm done editing, I move on to the color correction, which, like I said, is kind of essential when it comes to making things look pretty. I did not mean to click on myself when I said that. I'm really sorry about that. Here, we'll click on Ben. That's less conceited. What I tend to do for the color correction is, I'm a big fan of contrast. People look better when there's a high contrast. And I tend to make faces slightly rosier by making the mids a little more red. But obviously it depends on each frame, so I have to go through each frame and figure out, is this too blue, is this too yellow? But definitely crunch the blacks and make the whites quite a bit brighter. And then after that, once you're done color correcting, the fun part is waiting for it to export so you can put it online. And to do that, you go to export using QuickTime Conversion. Handy thing to know. I don't know if any of you guys are taking notes on this. Do I need to show you how to export this? No? Does anyone need to know how to export this for YouTube? No one. Okay, I'm not going to show you then.
Yeah, do it.
The settings. Okay, great. We have somebody who wants to know. Okay. Go over here to options. You go to the settings here, and the compression type stays the same. Automatic, take off frame reordering. Okay.
By the way, this process was so much trial and error for us to figure out what settings we want exactly to make it look best on YouTube. There's a million different ways to do this, obviously, and every program is different, but in our experience over the last 2 years, we've found that we get the most success by using these exact settings that Natalie will show you. Yeah.
The golden secret of exporting.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, size. This is where you go to, 1280 by 720, de-interlace source video, and that's it. I think that's all you, well, oh wait, no, there's the sound, sorry. The sound isn't showing up here. What's the matter, Jack? Why isn't the sound clickable? Wait, this hasn't happened before. Oh, that's why. It's because it's selecting this. Yeah, that's why. There we go. Okay. Told you this was fun. Okay, so then you go to the sound settings. We export it at AAC 44.1, and then
that's a funny thing actually. YouTube recommends exporting at 44.1, which is the sample rate of CD audio, as opposed to 48, which is the sample rate of most video cameras. Most video cameras shoot at 48 kilohertz and record sound at 48 kilohertz. But YouTube recommends 44.1. So we found also that it usually sounds better when we convert using Final Cut Pro instead of going through YouTube.
Yeah.
You recorded 44.1?
No, well, yes, on Pro Tools we do. We don't have that option on the camera, but we rarely use sound from the camera unless we're doing vlogs. So yeah, in Pro Tools we record 44.1 and 16-bit. Unless we're doing something that requires a lot of dynamic range, and then we'll do 24-bit and 48 kilohertz or 96. Yeah.
Okay, so that's exporting, and then the rest is uploading your video onto YouTube.
Why do you recommend using airways versus airways?
Well, sometimes, and it depends on what camera you're shooting with. We're shooting in 24p mode on a Canon Vixia HD40, and it's actually not a true 24p. It uses a pull down. Are people familiar with that, with pull downs? So, what it does is it's not actually shooting 24 frames per second. It's shooting what looks like 24 frames per second because it's interlacing two of the frames and making a fake still image out of those two frames. And de-interlacing helps with the effect of that video. Because when you do pan sometimes, and certain frames look combined, especially if it's fast movement. If I'm moving from here to here, like playing drums or something, one of the frames of drums, my arm will be here on half the pixels, and on the other half of the pixels, my arm will be here. And that just generally doesn't look so good. So we de-interlace to avoid that. Yeah.
For
this? I prefer 24. Yeah. But no, I mean, 30. That's good. Yeah, I can do whatever. It's fine. Yeah. No, 30 is great. I think you're this is a nice, smooth transition into questions. Yeah. So maybe we should just take more questions now. Go ahead and shout them out or raise your hands or wherever you feel. Yeah.
Yeah, you put the video on Final Cut on your older how do you stitch it together?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question. So,
Can you repeat the question?
yeah, the question is, we record the audio in Pro Tools, and then I don't need this.
But you took it.
Unless you handed it to me. No, we record the audio in Pro Tools. When we're finished with the audio, we export the whole Pro Tools session as a single file, which ends up looking like, let's see if I can find it up here on my audio assets. Smoke Rough, 2010. That was the final mix. So,
Smoke your little smoke, drink your little drink.
so this is a stereo file that we import into Final Cut Pro, and then you just drag it down here. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay. So you drag it down so then it's in the timeline here, and then you literally grab your video clips. Like this starts with,
You smoke your little smoke, drink your little drink.
there's vocals and there's a piano there, so I would maybe try and look for the piano track. We have all of our video
You
clips.
can't see them
Right
named
here?
there, but they're all named piano or drums or...
So you sort of wait
Someone
for it.
just had an epiphany.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll through. So there it starts. I set an in point, I set an out point, and I scroll in here. There it is. That's where the piano starts. Now I go ahead and I drag this clip down here, and now they're lined up.
Smoke your little smoke, drink your little drink. You try to make sense of.
So that's how we stitch them together. Does that answer your question?
That's the syncing part of it. Yeah.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Have you heard of software called Pluralize that does this all automatically?
No, but can I have the
Hell yes.
I have heard of that software, and Pluralize is great for like multi-camera shoots when you're trying to stitch together the audio from camera A, B, C, D, and E, and F. It'll sync up and line up all your cameras without having a clap or a flash or whatever it is, and that's great. But unfortunately, it doesn't work for this kind of thing because it hears your piano and then it compares that waveform. Like let's say we input the in one side of Pluralize we input our piano track, and in the other and with Ben playing the piano, and then the other side we input our final mix. Well, there's so much other audio information in our final mix, including drums, vocals, bass,
if you
keyboards.
use a reference audio track and you send an XLR cable to the camera, so the camera's audio, instead of getting the piano, it's getting that reference audio.
Right.
And then you put the reference audio, first you input that into Final Cut Pro. It's a really clear audio that's exactly what's in the camera. Then you can match everything to the same audio file first. And then you import your mix and replace the audio with that.
Except that we don't have multiple cameras running at once.
So you stream from Pro Tools this reference audio each time that you hit record. And that way it basically, the camera is shooting and it's getting audio from Pro Tools.
I don't think they have the audio until after they...
Right, so you pick anything else. You pick Bohemian Rhapsody or something.
Okay.
And then the camera gets that every time. And as long as the song's not longer than that, then it'll have a piece of audio that everything's relative to that. And then the camera, so every piece of video will have Bohemian Rhapsody running through it. And then when you sync everything to Bohemian Rhapsody, then the camera can find the exact spot in the song where that audio was shot, which was coming out of Pro Tools. And
what
then
if we don't want to cover Bohemian Rhapsody?
and then once it's all synced up, you can get to that and you throw your own track in.
Will you talk to me after? Because I would love to not have to sync all this
I would
stuff.
love to not have to sync
I
all
would
that.
love to know.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I was lying. We would like.
I can play the game.
Yeah.
It sounds like that would only work if let's say you've got like one drum beat that you've done up on the kick. If you want that to repeat, if you want to time shift your video relative to the audio, that won't work.
Yeah.
And that's what you guys are doing. I mean, that's
You're always showing the video that was...
take it outside!
All right, let's take some more questions. And then we're gonna play some guitar and bass.
Sorry.
And I'm also curious what kind of audio
Do you want to talk audio, Jeff?
Yeah, why don't you show them how to do split screen?
Okay,
first, and then
cool.
we'll-
Example of a split screen here. Now, I just learned that there's actually a setting in effects on Final Cut Pro where you can actually put a frame on something. I didn't realize that. So for all of the video songs I've done, I've been creating little square frames like this. See the thing I'm going to zoom in here. So this square right here, I'm just going to disable this little line now. I'm going to do this. So this rectangle here is sitting right behind the video of, there you go. There, I'm bringing down the opacity there so you can see that's the rectangle, that's the frame. There's a much easier way of doing that. You can click on the thing that you want to have a frame around and you can go into effects and where is it, Jack?
It's a border.
It's a border, okay. So in one of these tabs here, there is a border that you can just basically click on and put, there we go, border, right here. And if you drag basic border onto here, it'll basically just give you a border for your video. And you can make that bigger or smaller in the settings here, in the filters. So anyhow, there you go. There's your border. You can make it bigger. You can make it smaller. Is that not working?
Well,
Or it's only working on the top. Why is that not working?
so the reason, so there's a plugin that you can get for Final Cut called Digital Heaven. Has anybody heard of Digital Heaven? It allows you to do borders with cropping. Final Cut doesn't let you crop something and then add a border to the cropped image. They only let you add a border to a full image. So if you crop it, you can't get a border, which is why Natalie's been using these boxes behind the videos. And we recently found this thing called Digital Heaven, which allows you to crop and add borders, which makes our lives way easier.
Yeah. So that's basically. What was that?
I think it's $30. Yeah.
So I've been doing things the hard way this whole time, and it's fine. It's just harder. Basically, I'll decide where I want something to be. I'll shrink it down to 50% or whatever size. Right now, I guess this is at 100%. And then, oh yeah, because it's the same size as the other guy. And so, and then I'll crop it, and then I'll put a little thing behind it, and it looks, like a split screen. So that's how I've been doing it. I'm sure that there are people who would do it differently. But at least if you want a colored border, that's the way to do it. If you don't care about it being white, you can just make it black, and then you don't have to have a white box. I'm just babbling. I'm sorry. So that's how you do a split screen. Did that answer your question? Sort of? Not really? I can explain it to you more in detail afterwards if you want. Okay, cool. Next. You had a question, right?
Yeah. You guys have done such an amazing thing for music, putting it online and really gathering a huge fan base. Where do you see like the music industry going, and are they going to kind of catch on to this marriage of video and audio?
I don't freaking understand why the labels aren't doing this.
Right.
I don't get that. I mean, we don't have resources. We don't have money. I mean, we have a little bit of money from downloads and projects that we've done, commissions and things. But this is cheap, and it's easy, and it's quick, and you can do it with 2 people. And it just takes a little bit of time to build something. I mean, honestly, Natalie and I have gotten several offers from record labels over the last 2 years. And some of them are better than others. I used to be of the mindset that record labels are trash and we don't need them and blah blah blah. And I don't think that's entirely true now. I think a lot of them really understand music and are really doing their best in a difficult time where we're transitioning through online media and cloud-based music consumption versus physical music consumption. And that's a very difficult transition. But at the same time, I don't think the labels really understand the power of a conversation and a dialogue with viewership over a long period of time. I mean, labels still, every once in a while, they call us up and they say, hey guys, we want to make a viral video. And you kind of have to, I heard a great analogy the other day. There was an advertising agency. We're doing a project with Samsung coming up, and Samsung asked the ad agency for a viral video. And the guy at the ad agency called me up and said, as if it's something you can order off a Chinese food menu. And I thought that was such an apt phrase, because you can make a video. You can't make a viral video. You can make a video, and it either goes viral or it doesn't. That's it. It's like, there are 10 million movies made every year, and one of them is Amelie, and the rest of them aren't Amelie. You can't make a hit. You can't. And I don't think the labels understand that. They still want to make viral videos. That said, a lot of them are coming into this idea, and they're recognizing that this is a really powerful thing. And there's,
But they're still incapable of doing anything aside from a 360 deal with an artist, where they basically own everything that you do, and so it's still not a good deal for artists. I mean, it's a much better thing if you just do it yourself. You can make a living yourself.
start doing it, and because the truth is, one of the reasons we haven't signed with labels is because they can't do for us what we've done for ourselves. And they've been the first ones to say that. You know, when we have meetings with them, they say, you know, we're not going to be able to do more than that. I mean, we're right now, when, you know, I have some friends who are signed, and Pomplamoose, when we play a show, we have more people turn up for a show than signed acts. I mean, there's no magic to a record label. It's not like some black box where if you sign, everything else happens. I mean, they still have to figure out how to promote you and how to sell tickets. And the truth is, YouTube is just amazing. It just is, we're entering one of the most exciting moments in history for the first time ever on planet Earth. You can connect directly with people. There's no gatekeepers. You don't need someone to tell you whether you're cool or not. You can just be cool and show people. It's so exciting. It's a magical time. Maybe a couple more questions and then we'll play some songs.
Is somebody waving at me? Sorry.
Yeah. Well, yes, go ahead.
You just mentioned that you were talking about how you grew your fan base. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. How did we grow our fan base? So, you know, we were doing some covers like Favorite Things and some songs that we really enjoy. We only cover songs that we really enjoy. That's the number one thing. But then there's also this thing of how many hits does that song have on YouTube? And what we found is that if you list all the songs you like and you find the ones with the most hits on YouTube, that's going to do the best for you. And so covering Single Ladies was a very intentional thing for us. We knew that Single Ladies was getting a lot of attention. It was a cool song. It was totally open harmonically. It was mostly percussion. It allows us to really fill it with a lot of cool harmonic material and reharmonize and add cool chords and change it up a lot. And it had a freaking ton of hits. So it was a perfect opportunity for us to get exposure to more people. And YouTube has this thing where it recommends videos. So if you've watched Single Ladies and your video is titled Single Ladies, it'll say, because you watched Single Ladies, you might be interested in Single Ladies. and so it's really algorithmic. It's a great way to spread and to grow a fan base. So covering
Just to give you an idea, when we covered Single Ladies was the first big, cover that we did. Not as big as Nature Boy for some reason. So we had 10,000 fans. It had taken us a year to get 10,000, subscribers, not fans, but subscribers on YouTube. And within 3 months, our fan base had quintupled after Single Ladies. So I really can't emphasize enough how useful it is to not only cover songs that you're deeply passionate about, but to cover songs that you think have really good potential and a good melody, and that you can make really good. But that's.
How did the licensing work?
Is that what you
So
were?
I know that you did this mechanical licensing.
Right.
I understand mechanical license covers the sale of the MP3, but it doesn't cover the streaming of the YouTube video. Has it been this problem where YouTube can sort of, if you cover a song, depending on the owner of the rights, they might
Don't cover Prince.
Yes, it's a big problem. Technically you need, in order to post, in order to synchronize video with someone else's composition, you need something called a sync license. Exactly. Different than mechanical license, which is in order to cover someone's composition and post
It
it for
costs
sale.
like $30,000 for.
They're negotiable. So someone, whoever the publisher is, can say, we want X, and then you have to pay X. Versus if you go through Harry Fox for a mechanical license, it's $99 for 1,000 copies of the song. There is a little bit of a provision, so technically it's illegal. I've been told that YouTube buys blanket sync licenses so that its users can upload covers of songs. And they do that to cover their ass so they don't get sued by record labels. Also, because if you search Single Ladies, they're are thousands of videos that use the composition, single ladies, somewhere in them, that total maybe billions